First up today, we have Trina. I adore her, and I think you guys will too. After today's session, she's coming to us all the way from Amsterdam, right, today? Because
Right, right.
she's always somewhere nice. I look at her pictures, and I'm like, I wish I was there. Please go and follow her and listen to her podcast, EQ over IQ, which is absolutely amazing. She has lots of tips for parents. To help break some generational cycles. We won't call them curses. And when you know better, you do better. And who doesn't want a better and healthier relationship between you and your little ones? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, ma'am.
Hello, hi. I say hello to all the parents. Thank you for joining me. So, what I'm going to be talking to you about is the 5 principles of emotional intelligence in parenting, and how to make parenting a healing experience for your inner child. And when I say inner child, I mean that little person that's always present inside of us, that's had some hurts and had some pains and goes out into the world and unfortunately shares it, and not the most positive way. So I want us to work on that as we develop as parents. I call mindful parenting EQ. There are 3 types of childhood trauma, and how they affect your parenting style is very evident. So the first one is acute trauma, and that's just one thing that happens, that maybe you got in a car accident or a shooting or something like that. It was once, but it comes back to you in stressful situations. And then you have chronic trauma, which is something that's going on all the time. So you have abuse and bullying, domestic violence in the house. Complex trauma is the result of exposure for multiple traumatic events. And the truth is that all people suffer from some form of trauma, especially people from a quote unquote minority groups. I say more quote unquote minorities because we are the majority around the world. So, and then stress that comes from external, internal variables. And I'm going to get into a few just to lay the foundation of why we need emotional intelligence and we need to learn it. As Black people, I'd say we are exposed to all of these traumas for generations. It's our being on this planet within slavery. This has been some of the most traumatic things that could happen to anybody. But a lot of ways that these traumas come out are fear. And I think fear is the number one reaction. And when you're in a fear mode, you're actually in hypervigilance. So you're over checking. You just can't get to a place of peace and calm. Quick to anger, because that's fear. Violence, both physical and emotional. Denial. And that's because that's a coping mechanism in which if you don't see it, it's not real. And then shame and shaming behavior. And shame is an ego-based sort of guilt, but instead of trying to take steps to resolve or repair, we just feel like horrible human beings. And that's not good either. It's so funny because Jatia said the word curse, and that's exactly the word I used was curse. And how do we stop generational curse? The word abuse. You could throw in the word slavery. You can throw in the word trauma. There's a lot of different things that you can throw in there because it's all connected. And from the African American community especially, we got to recognize a lot of the behaviors that are pronounced in our culture is due to those variables of slavery. when we were not heard, when we were not listened to, when our feelings and our emotions no longer mattered, and when we were disconnected from our family and friends, and the list goes on and on and on. But there are steps that we can take to reclaim our vulnerability and to reclaim our love of self. Speak life, speak love, speak bravery, speak wisdom and truth, but most of all, listen to your children. And I think that's something that's really hard for us to do because we didn't feel listened to. We never felt validated. Stop those generational curses, because I put this little one up to show you. You can't have both. Honey, when you grow up, I want you to be assertive, independent, and strong-willed. While you're a kid, I want you to be passive, pliable, and obedient.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry, that's not what's going to happen. You can't have it both ways. You have to be able to regulate yourself enough in order to allow those very positive traits to come out into your kid and not take them personally. Because I think what it is that we've gotten this frame of mind that's being disrespectful. No, that is being biologically what kids need to be in order to grow up to be adults that can feel good about themselves. So what we have to find is a little bit more patience. So now what we're going to do is we're going to define emotional intelligence. So I can break them down into the 5 principles. So self-awareness, self-regulation. Principle is motivation, because children are our mirrors. And there's no way to escape that. They're going to act out you in front of you. And if you don't like you, you're not going to like that child. So compassion and empathy is number 4 of the 5 principles is social skills.